Yes, I do believe in love, and I hope you do too. Thank you so very much for tuning in to 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, and of course, I'm your host, Marty Jalove. We come at you every single Monday night at 7 to talk about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. If you can't catch the live episode, if you have to run out in the middle of this show, shame on you, but that's okay. You can tune in later in the week to the recording. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, just look for Master Happiness, Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Again, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Every Monday, I try to bring you a guest. I am on a quest to bring you the very best. And today, my returning guest, my good friend, Joe Janicki, is here. And we're going to be talking about the customer experience and how very, very important it is. Joe, say hello to the world.
Hello, world. Marty, thanks for having me back. I am extremely excited to get this series started. So.
Yeah, this is going to be a 6-part series, Joe. Yeah. This is going to be really good. So it was interesting. We talked a little bit about this would be a great topic. And I said, is it one show? And then we talked about, no, it should be 3 shows. And now suddenly it turned into 6 shows. We'll see if it goes beyond 6 shows. But I think this is going to be really exciting because the more you and I talked, we shared these stories of the right things to do. We've worked at places and done the right things, seen this. But then recently, more so, I have seen people, companies failing at customer experience. And I don't know if it's because I'm more aware of it or it's because it's really just people are failing. What's your initial thought on that, Joe?
It's a good question. I'm hypersensitive to it. So and my wife will be the first one to tell you that going out with me can be a joy because I'm looking at all of it. It's always front of mind with me. And I pick out some of the smallest things, but in reality, it's everything. It really is the entire experience for everything.
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe we're just hypersensitive to it, but yeah.
Well, I think part of it is, Joe, my business, Master Happiness, I'm there about coaching businesses on these particular issues. And I work a lot with you. I think we're like co-mentors to each other. We bounce ideas off of each other. I think you're one of the most brilliant business people I know.
Well,
okay. Yeah. Now you've got that
Wow.
recorded. Wow. I can't go back on that. But no, I really love bouncing ideas off of you because I think we share the same mindset. We don't mind disagreeing on certain things. And I think we help each other grow. But one of those things we have in common is that if a business wants to be successful, it's got to have that customer first focus.
Yeah.
All right. And we talked on the way here about businesses that succeed despite having that attitude. But I want to really get into the power of that. And I loved how you said this. I want to give you a second to think about how you would define the customer experience when someone's listening to this, whether you're a customer visiting a store, a restaurant, whatever it is, maybe dealing with a service industry like a plumber, a carpenter, a locksmith, whatever. Well, how would you define customer experience? Because many people think when we say that it's customer service, and we know it's so much more than that. So how would you define customer experience?
So much more than customer service. And I think most companies have realized now that they have to focus on this. And it's a big part of, what's important as far as their success. But it is truly the entire journey from hello to goodbye. Do you take me on a journey, and what does that journey look like? And there's a journey for every experience, right? But what does that journey look like? And how do I feel as a client through that journey? And each of them are different because I want, as a customer, a different experience for different things. So, when I go to Amazon, I want a different experience than I want at a very high-end restaurant.
Right.
So my expectations for that journey are going to be completely different depending on the business that I'm at.
Correct.
The business that I'm working with. So, but in my mind, it is that journey. I worked for Lexus for a long time on the retail side, and they did a really good job when I was there of focusing on this. And I remember this is years ago. If I look back, probably 2007-ish, they had us all down to a hotel in the city. I can't remember if it was the Peninsula or somewhere down in Chicago. And the meeting that we went to was called Elevate the Luxury Experience. And they brought us down there and they were looking at ways that we could take the client experience and elevate it. And we're not talking like, how do we spend millions on a brand new car wash? Or
right.
Like it was, what are the things that we can do that make a big impact on that client? And they focused on this and they made it a part of their culture. They made it a part of who they were. And it was memorable to me because part of the reason for having us at that specific hotel was because they wanted us to see at that hotel how we were treated as guests. And I think a lot of this stuff that we try to pull out and implement in our businesses comes from the industry, who does a really, really good job or a really bad job.
Sure.
But it was just interesting. This is the hotel back in that day where if you sneeze, somebody was there with a box of tissue.
Yeah.
Like immediately. So, but yeah, I just, I look at it just again, from hello to goodbye. What is that journey? What does it look like? And how does the client feel during that journey? And does it match their expectations for your type of business?
Good. I love that. And what's interesting is that I work with some companies. We talk about that journey the customer takes. How easy are we making it for a customer to buy from us? How easy are we making it for a customer to return something? How easy is it for us to make the journey for the customer where they can come and make decisions? Do they feel pressured? Most importantly is, I like this. I was doing a lot of reading and research on this to get up with this. And I like the question you ask yourself: what is the wow effect of your company? What is everything? And it could be, man, I have the most beautiful entrance way into my building, right? I have ample parking. That's part of the customer experience. I have the absolute friendliest staff. I have the highest end food. Okay. I have the easiest, most liberal return policy. I do incredible follow-up. Whatever it is, the more you can do that, making it so much easier for the customer. But if you want to look at it from yourself instead of even the customer standpoint, say, what kind of an experience do I want to give the customer so that customer has something to brag about? You want that customer to leave you and say, oh my God, even if I didn't buy something, I'm going to highly recommend the store. And it's that wow factor. How do you create the wow factor? Because people are going to talk about the experience they have with your company. You want them to be impressed, amazed, and share the benefits of it, the beauty of it. You don't want them going, yeah, it wasn't that good. And unfortunately, right now, I think the statistics I remember reading a long time ago was people share bad experiences 20 times more often than they share good experiences.
Yeah.
So if you just give them what they expected, why am I going to talk about it?
Yeah.
All right. I need something extraordinary to share. And that's what I really want to cover today.
You do, and you create raving fans. It's the best form of marketing I think you can have.
How about it?
And I think businesses strive to do that. And the key to that, and again, what I mentioned with Lexus, the key to that is to always be looking for ways to continue to elevate and continue to level up and to continue to just knock it out of the park. So you don't just, stagnant doesn't become your normal.
No,
So,
I think it's so important for us to realize that the only the stores I shop at are not just in my backyard. They're not walking distance.
Right.
I'm willing to drive far enough out of my way to get something, as well as I can buy things online. I can get things from all over the world. I can talk to people all over the world. That little neighborhood mom and pop shop, that charm that they have is that customer experience. But as soon as somebody else duplicates that and gives us higher quality product, faster delivery, bigger variety, suddenly that charm dries up if that's all that they've got.
Yeah.
So we need a lot more. So Joe, I want to kind of explain to people why we're calling this a 6-part series. So today, what I'm hoping to do, and you know what, I love jumping off on tangents, and I think Joe does as well. So who knows what we're actually going to cover
the one
today.
thing I'm really good at.
Yes, exactly. So we have to make a promise to each other to wrangle each other back into this whole thing. Today, what we're really going to do is kind of go over the importance of it, try to explain what areas of their business are included in a customer experience and why it's very important. And we're going to give you some examples. We were bouncing all types of examples. I mean, we could have spent another couple of hours in the car just talking about examples of good and bad customer service. And so that's what we're going to do today. The next 4 episodes are going to be breaking down specific areas. We're going to talk more in detail on those and what are some of the things you should be doing and what are maybe some of the things you definitely should not be doing. And then the 6th episode, we're going to come back with a summary for everything. One of the cool things that I want to say is after our first conversation, I created this thing. I gave you a copy of this CX checklist, this customer experience checklist. And what we're going to do is in the blog post that follows the episode later in the week, I will put a link to this. And what we'll actually do is during the show, we may find some other things to change up on this checklist. But what I want to start out with for today's show, Joe, is because it's Bacon Bits, right? We have to have the acronym BACON, BACON, right? Because everything bacon touches just becomes a little bit better,
Are
right?
you talking about the bacon for chewing?
I am not, sir. I am talking about the bacon for doing. All right. So that never gets old, does it? 4 years in, it's still a delicious tagline. All right. So the B is this. It's really important to build relationships. A is anticipate needs. C is craft personalized moments. O is operational excellence. And N is nourish emotional connection. So that's what we're going to try to cover today. We're going to kind of go over that, but that and so much more. So definitely don't run away. Again, follow us on Bacon Bits with Master Happiness on the podcast to listen to the whole thing. So let's just jump right into this building relationships. Joe, you are like an expert at this. You are someone I'm in awe of the way that you do this because it's genuine to you. It comes from your heart. I see you and I see the people you train. You really are good at this. And you're driving this home. What are some of the things that if somebody was going to start a brand new business and they're kind of lost, what would you talk to them, or how would you steer them down that lane of building relationships, the importance of it, and how they should go about it?
So I think it's a good question. I mean,
They're all good questions.
And I think this really depends on the type of business you're in too, right? Because let's face it, there's some businesses I don't really want to have a relationship with you, but I want to spend money at your business.
Yes,
I just
yes.
want to get it.
Okay,
So
that's a good point.
convenience
Sure.
factor out of it. And
Okay.
and I've got this written down, like balancing the convenience versus experience.
Good,
Because I
good.
think there is a fine line. But when it comes to building relationships, I think one of the most important things that works for me and that we coach on is to be genuinely interested in whoever it is we're talking to.
Right.
And if I am not genuinely interested in you and not hearing what you have to say, and all I want to do is talk, then I'm not hearing what's important to you.
Yep.
And if I'm not hearing what's important to you, then I have no idea what it's going to take to help you or serve you in the way that you want to be served.
Good point.
I'm only hearing myself. So I think the number one rule for us when we build relationships is to actually have a genuine interest in the person that we're working with.
Okay.
And it's not a fake interest. Like genuinely, I want to know if you want to tell me something, Marty, tell me more.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Like, tell me, if I know what's important to you because I've heard you and I listened to you, then I know how to best serve you. So,
Okay.
but I can't do that without starting at being genuinely interested in you.
Right. And I'm going to jump into this. The other thing we were speaking about is how this idea of the strong relationships and the genuine interest in the customers has to start at the top. It's got to be the leadership. It's got to be the owners of the company have to truly feel this way because it's got to be in the culture of the company. It's got to be part of your mission statement, your value list, your vision, what you want to do. Because if the leadership does not demonstrate genuine interest in the customers, what that does is it sets a standard for the employees to go, well, I don't have to really care for them. The people above me don't care. Right. And I think this is one of those points that training has to be done on a regular basis. And if you find somebody in your business that just goes, look, I'm selling great and stuff like this, but I don't really care about the customers, I hate to say it, that's somebody that you should be looking at showing them the door.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be part of your team.
So it's deeper than that because I think it starts at the hiring process.
Yep.
You're building a culture around this. And you can't build a culture if this is the culture you want. And maybe it's not, but if this is the culture you want, then it starts at the very beginning, at who you hire, who you bring into your organization. Because in the training is easy, right? But you're hiring for those qualities.
Yep.
In our business, we look at the person. Our particular business, we can teach anybody. Right. Anybody can walk in and take the licensing exam and they can learn.
Right.
They can learn the ins and outs of coverage in that. But you can't learn how to truly care and how to be genuine and how to really have an interest in the people that you're working with and really truly at the heart of it, care what you're doing for those people. That's hard to train.
Right. I would agree.
So if you start and you build your culture with the right people from the beginning, it makes that whole process a whole lot easier. You don't have to do a whole lot.
Right. I think I'm going to go back to something I've said multiple times is at that hiring process. I look and I look at the potential employees and I look at three different things. Where do they fit in? And it could be a combination. And I call them these 3 Ps are they there just for a paycheck? Because there's sometimes entry level jobs. They're there just to get the money. Do they have a passion for your business or the brand itself? All right. And then lastly are they there for all right. And I look at all 3 of those, and I'm not saying I wouldn't hire any of them. I would hire all 3 of them based on what I need. If I have a specific job that I don't need them to have a passion, I need them to do a repetitive task. Somebody who's going to work for a paycheck, to say, you're going to pay me for 100 pieces, as long as they're done right, the quality is right, that's going to be okay. If I've got somebody who is looking for personal growth, my goal is going to be seeing if I can get my brand or my industry to tie to their personal growth. If they can see that, they can see a mutual benefit. If they're loving the idea of my brand, they have a passion for the brand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get them to grow within us. All right. No matter where you work, there's always going to be some positions that are repetitive tasks. All right. It's not to say that you're not going to have a passion for it. It's not to say that you can't view that as personal growth. Like, I'll do all the grunt work first, and then next year I'll prove that I'm good and I'm going to grow with this. That's still okay. And I still want even the guy who's on the assembly line tightening a screw and next, tighten a screw next. I still want him to think of, a customer is going to buy this one piece.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You said that person can be strictly about the paycheck. And in reality, wouldn't they be a better team member? Wouldn't their quality, and maybe your expectation is 100 units per whatever time allotted, right? But if they truly have a passion for the business as well, and you hire them because it's not just about the paycheck.
Yep.
Like, if you hire them for 100 units, you're going to get 100 units, and they're just going to be enough to get done.
Right.
But if they love your company and they love your business, and they have a passion for it, and they truly care, then they start thinking about the client, the end user, and you might all of a sudden get 150 top quality units out of them in the same time period because they care.
Right.
So I think that for the paycheck thing, I would question that.
I'm going to tie it that in with what you said, is this idea of tying the two together, because it starts with the top. I'm only going to hire people who have my same value list. And if my value is, think of the customer. Even if a person who is working for just a paycheck, saying, I'm going to come in for just a paycheck, they still have to follow my values. They still have to. And if my values are, we're taking care of the customer, I want them as that assembly line, as they're working with that, I want them to not say, well, if I make a mistake on 1 out of 100, that's still okay. I'm going to go empathize with the customer who buys that one with the mistake. Empathize with that guy. Shoot for that perfection. All right, stop the line if you have to, because we're not making it quality. Okay, so I think there's still an idea of, I'm going to get a job here at this place. Let's say I grab a job at a place where I'm like, I don't really want to work in this industry. Maybe I get a job where I'm cleaning up a dog kennel. Okay, but working for a veterinarian's office or something like that is not my dream job. I'm doing that to pay for college because I'm going to go do something else. Sure. That's the thing. I'm working for a paycheck because it's a stepping stone somewhere else. But you still have to have the passion to do the best you can. I might not have a passion for that industry. I might not look for anything but for personal growth. I'm just looking for the paycheck so I can pay tuition and move on to something else. But you still have to have pride in your work. And I think maybe that's the P that I'm missing across all three of those. Yeah. Whether it's a paycheck, personal growth, or passion, you still have to have pride for your work, no matter what you're doing.
Yes.
Because if I don't care who you are in any of those areas, if you don't have pride in your work, I don't care if you're chasing personal growth. If you don't have pride in your work, I don't want you there either. If you might have passion for the brand, but if you don't have pride for your outputs, I don't want you there either. So
I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole, but then I would ask the question then, do you truly want the person that's just there for the paycheck? You're the business owner.
Right.
Are you hiring that person?
Depending. Well, yeah, but if he's got pride in his work, okay, and he is, if I'm clarifying the three, passion for my brand, okay, personal growth, or a paycheck, okay. Let's say I own a hospital and I hire somebody to just sweep the floors. Okay. And all he's doing is I don't care what hospital I'm working at. I don't care where I'm working. I have no passion for that, but I have pride in my work. Okay. And I'm only here to get a paycheck. I could be sweeping somewhere else for less money or more money.
Okay.
I chose here because of the money. All right. But I have pride in my work. You will never find anyone who sweeps better than I do. I don't care where I'm at. Okay. And I don't care. I'm not interested in a promotion. Okay.
I can see that.
That's the direction. But I think the missing piece is that pride in your work. You have to be proud of who you are. If you're willing to get up out of bed, go to work, go home at night and be proud of the job you did. Every job is worth something. Okay. You'll do that. Oh, look at this. I had the camera on you the whole time. That's good.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Good. Because then it covers you from making faces. All right. So what would you say? Well, I'll keep the camera on you for a minute. No, I won't. There you go. Let's jump into this as far as building relationships. When we talked about, we were going to give some examples of companies that were really good at building relationships. what are some of the ones that you think about that are good at building relationships? And that's why I kept the camera on you.
That's a great question. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking about relationship businesses. So, we talked about on the way over, we talked about Nordstrom and the way the experience works there, right? Because in the history of that company is
share the history. I love that history.
Well, just in the story that I know is that John Nordstrom had polio, had 2 different size feet, and needed 2 different size shoes, and this could all be made up, could be a myth, whatever.
It's still a good story.
But couldn't find a store that sold or would let him buy 2 different size shoes, so he had to buy 2 different pairs of shoes. So fast forward, opened up his shoe store, and said that would never happen. So give the client what they want,
I love
what
it.
they need, take care of the client, and to this day, they really truly believe in they empower their people.
Yeah.
Right. To take care of the client's needs or take care of the client or do things that benefit the client before they benefit the company.
Okay.
And they do a fantastic job with it.
I love that whole idea of that's the wow factor. That's the thing that separated Nordstrom's from everybody else by saying there's a shoe store, a shoe store, a shoe store, a shoe store. They're all the same. They all sell shoes. So our only difference is what brand name of shoes we can get. All right, maybe if the clerk can tell a better joke at this store, that's the difference. All right, so this guy said, no, I saw an inherent problem here that there are certain customers we can't take care of. Yeah. And that idea of the 2 shoes fitting differently is not just limited to that guy. It probably happens to a lot of people, but the majority don't need it. But the fact that he offers that makes Nordstrom stand out. Yeah. And I think that's cool. Yeah. When we talk about building relationships, I think about a lot of times restaurants that we go to, and I've been to, and I'll mention the name of it, is the restaurant Cooper's Hawk.
I was just thinking about that.
I know.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about it is that we go in there and there are certain people that recognize me. There are people that recognize you, and you have a conversation with the people who are working there, and they seem extra friendly. They make you feel good about being there. I love going into a restaurant and being addressed by my name. Probably of all the different kinds of stores or shops, service entities that I go to, going into a restaurant and being called by my name is paramount. That makes me feel right. Makes me feel really good, right?
You look around to see who heard
exactly. Did everyone hear this? See, they know me, right? Right. And so this is one of the reasons I come up with so many nicknames for myself. So maybe they'll get one right. Okay. But I think Cooper's Hawk does it right, and they've grown and they continue to repeat what they've done, and they're working really good. And so their training process is so rigorous to make sure that they have some of the friendliest people there.
So not only the training process, but their hiring process. They hire some fantastic people. And I will self-admit here live that I have tried to recruit some of the people out of there.
Nice.
They're amazing. And I am one that does eat there frequently. And the one out here in Killdeer, Deer Park,
Killdeer,
is extraordinary. As far as relationships go, they all truly, you walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm at home, right?
Yes.
And it's not so elevated that certain people can't reach this restaurant, that it's not it's not that high end, but it feels high end. You walk in and you're welcomed and you feel important and you feel special. Even the GM there, will walk over to our table and say hello every single time they're there. But I will say this, when you talk about that being, what's the word? Throughout their organization, it scales throughout the organization, because I've eaten there in Florida, I've eaten there in Kansas City, I've eaten there, all over the country, St. Louis.
Right.
I have been to Cooper's Hawk all over the country, and they're all the same.
That's beautiful.
They have consistency in the food, but they have consistency in the service, and it's extraordinary every single time. They nail it. And that consistency, client, I know what I'm getting, and I know what I'm going to get there. And if they continue that, their success is just, it's limitless. This is just going to carry on forever. But they do a fantastic job, and you do feel like, oh, they know who I am, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So we talked about this, that I said, if we see a smaller place, a smaller restaurant, we know a smaller shopper that we know they're suffering from this customer experience, they don't do it, we're not going to mention their name. If they're heroes at it, we're going to still talk about it. But a bigger guy like this, I'm going to bring up what I view is kind of the opposite of what Cooper's Hawk does. And I don't mind mentioning the name Home Depot. Okay. And so when I was young and first these big box hardware stores were moving in, and the first one in my neighborhood, which wasn't that close, was a place called Handy Andy. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And it was an old one, no longer exists. Right. And so around the corner, there was a neighborhood hardware store. It was a mom and pop shop that eventually became either a True Value or an Ace. Okay. One or the other. And what happens was when my dad needed something small, he would go there and he would say, you know what? I don't mind paying a little extra here because I'm getting expertise. I can talk to the guy. These people in here know what they're selling, right? If he needed something bigger, though, he would go, we're going to go to the hardware store, the local place, talk to them, get their opinion, then we're going to go to Handy Andy because it's cheaper there. Okay. And I felt bad about it, but his reality was, I'm going to take it. Why am I going to pay so much extra for something? All the small stuff I need, it's easy for me to do this, right? Well, what ended up happening was these big box stores like Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, etc. What they did was they were so big, lowering their prices, starting eating up those smaller places, and those people who work there had no place to go other than to the big box store. Then the success of a place like Home Depot was they got all that expertise in their place, right? Whereas before they weren't that knowledgeable. Now they got all this great expertise in there and they became the best of both worlds. They have the best prices, they have the largest variety, and they had the most intelligent people. Fast forward a little bit, what are they trying to do? We're going to save some money. Those people who used to own small hardware stores have dried up. There's no more small hardware stores. So what are they doing? They're hiring younger people and they're not doing the proper training. They're not doing the training that they should be doing. Okay. So shame on you because, and it's not 100%, it's not all over the place, but I see it way too often that you walk in and what I see is I ask one of these young kids, hey, I'm looking for a lag bolt or something like that. Right. And before you know it, a herd of them get together. There's 5 kids in a corner looking in their phones, searching the directory for it. And they're like, what is a lag bolt? Okay. And they're asking, they can't figure it out. And I'm like, is there someone else you can ask? And they're like, oh, well, we just asked the computer. Okay. And before you know it, I end up feeling better walking away from them and trying to hunt the store for myself. So their customer service has dropped down. Their prices are still good. Their variety, the abundance of product is still good, but they've lost that type of that exceptional service that they got. And I think that's a difference between someplace like Cooper's Hawk and Home Depot. Can you imagine if Cooper's Hawk switched that and said, we're just going to hire people, but not train them well enough?
They would be around very much.
Exactly.
So I want to take you on a journey, and I'm going to take you all the way back to 2008. I'm going to ask you. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. So
go ahead.
In 2008, we had some financial struggles, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And at that time, and this is just my opinion, so I'm going to ask you your opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like many companies, due to the economic times of 2008, tried to run lean, and I felt a shift in the stores, and that shift seems to have carried on all the way until now. And so initially it started with, we're going to take less people,
right,
and we're going to have them do more stuff. They're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
They're going to be working more than ever. They're going to be doing more than ever. And they're not going to care for the clients as well as they would have when we had enough people to take care of the clients, right? And it didn't matter because we were running lean, so we're still making the money and but we're not paying out as much, right?
Right.
So that carried on. And I think about the retail experience now and how rare it is to have somebody help you or talk to you or approach you in a retail scenario that you're like, wow, that was really cool. I had one.
Okay.
And I can remember one in, I can't tell you how many years. And there have been times I've been in like a Walmart or any of these stores that are doing the shopping for you, right? You go to Target, you wherever, they're rolling around with their carts. And I don't know if these people are told not to talk to the customers.
Yeah.
But my thought is, if somebody's in the aisle and they're struggling, they're looking at stuff and they're like, they look confused, and you are shopping in this store for a living, it should be common sense to go, hey, what are you looking for? Can I help you find it? Because you know where every SKU is in that store. But instead, they act like they don't work there.
Right.
And they just head down angry. If you try to ask them something, and maybe they're just paid on time, like you got to get this done, right?
Yeah.
But I look at that experience, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even bother them because they have, you know, the Seinfeld of just look angry, right? Everybody thinks you're busy if you just look angry. But I look at that experience and that has become the retail that we know today. And your expectations I think in retail, my expectations are like so low. And I'll tell you my great experience.
Okay.
I was at Menards the other day.
Good.
And I was looking for silicone.
All right.
And I wanted a gray silicone for a bathroom, right? Inside.
Yeah.
And I went through the paint department and I walked past, I can't tell you how many people in the store because Menards is one of those stores where you're buying stuff that you didn't realize you needed until you got to Menards, right? I got stuff for the dog. I got stuff for, the kitchen. Like I'm all over the place in that store. So I must have passed probably 10 different employees in Menards. I was in the tool section looking for a coping saw, whatever, all this stuff. And I got to the paint aisle and I'm looking at one wall of caulk and I have this confused face. And there's a beeline. One of their team members is just walking at me, right? And I'm like, I thought she was going to go on to maybe, because this is just my expectations, right? She's going somewhere else to work on the store.
Right by.
She walks up to me. She goes, well,
wow.
Right. That was her approach. She goes, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
And I was like, but to me, like it was different. It was a complete pattern interrupt. Like it was not what I was expecting.
Yes.
And it's a memorable experience. I was like, wow, that was really cool. And she took me right to where I was looking. She goes,
that's
come
the
on,
best.
I'm going to take you over. You're on the wrong aisle. Come with me.
Yeah.
What else can I help you find?
Right.
And I was floored that this was the experience I was having, but it's sad that was the experience that wowed me.
And that should be the norm.
Today's retail.
Right.
And so many of these people, they shop for a living in these stores. And they're rolling around with their carts and they're packing stuff for other people that are in the parking lot waiting for their stuff to get picked up, but they cannot answer a question for you or tell you how to find something because what's just outside of their, you know what? They're working for a paycheck.
That's it. With no pride.
No pride.
All right. So we're going to take a momentary break, but we will be right back. So please stay tuned. There's a lot more of this. We've only gotten to the B. I got an Aiken for the ACON. All right. You like that, huh? All right. Stay tuned. And we are back. Thank you so very much for staying tuned in to 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Mr. Happiness. I'm your host, Marty Jalove. And of course, my guest here, the guy who was just on the camera, my guest here is from Brightway Insurance, the Janicki agency, is here. And we're talking about the customer experience. So, Joe, we have beaten up this whole B, build relationships. I still want to get into the A, the C, the O, and the N. But I do want to jump back to this one thing because I kind of really, dissed Home Depot pretty bad, and I like shopping at Home Depot because I know where what I'm looking for, I can find it. There are some hidden gems there. There are a lot of people who do work there who have pride in what they're doing and they know what they're doing.
Very much.
It just seems over time, those are the people who are harder and harder to find.
Well, so there's something to touch on there, and that is the memorable experiences that you have. Right?
Yes.
So, that's the journey that they took you on.
Right.
That this is what you remember.
Yeah.
You don't remember the good stuff.
That's it.
And you're right. There are great people there that work in plumbing, they work in hardware, they work in everywhere. They really know their stuff. They're great. But the ones that really made an impression on you are the ones that left you with a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
You know who does a really good job of building relationships, by the way?
Who's that?
It's Brightway Insurance over in Lake Zurich. They do those people do a fantastic job.
We'll have to see if
knocking out of the
we'll see if we can get them to buy a spot on the show here. Anyway, I do want to just comment lastly again about what you were talking about is sometimes at these stores you go to the service counter, customer service, you ask them and then they point and they go, yeah, over there, aisle 14, go down there. And then you walk down aisle 14, can't find it. You find somebody else, they go, oh, I think that's aisle 3. I love it when they take you by the hand and bring you, and they go, oh, it's not here. Let me get on the radio. Let me find something. Okay. So with that, the place that I'm going to do a big shout out for, one of my favorite places is Binny's, the liquor store. Binny's. Every time I'm in there, they don't know me by name, thank goodness, because I don't go there that often. But when I do go in there, immediately somebody stops me. Do you know what you're looking for? Can I help you find anything? Right. Sometimes I'm going, I'm just browsing. They're like, okay, if you need anything, find us. No problem, right? Other times I go, yeah, I'm looking for something very specific. And if they don't know where it's at, every one of them has a walkie-talkie. They get on there, hey, Hank, where is the wine, the rice wine from China? We don't have any. And then you look and there's people waving going, no, we don't have that or something like that. Or over here. And before you know, I got a bunch of people helping me because they are so into making sure I find exactly what they want. They'll ask me the why. Why do you want that? Can we help you with something else? Is there something else? What are you trying to do? And so a big shout out to them.
Okay. And you mentioned that it's that was another thing that Lexus trained on. And I remember that like it's clear day. It was when somebody walk up and go, "Hey, where's the bathroom?"
Yeah.
Right. Instead of going, "No, it's over there," you go, "No, come with me."
Right.
And you walk them there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully not in.
No.
Right.
No. But I mean,
There it is.
There's the restroom. Yeah, come with me. I'll show you. And you just turn and walk.
Yeah.
And you take them over
There you
there,
go.
walk them right to the
Exactly. I'm not looking for a thank you, nothing. There it is, and you walk away. That's fine. That's my job. That's what it's got to be. All right, so let's jump into the rest of that. So we talked about building relationships. A is anticipate needs. C is craft that personalized personalized moments. We might jumble some of these together. O is operational excellence, and N is nourish emotional connection. So this anticipate needs. I think this is really cool when places like Binny's, when they ask me, what are you looking, when I ask for something particular and they ask me, what are you trying to do, so they can suggest something else. If we don't have that, we have something else that might suit your needs.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it sounds like you're going to a dinner party. Have you thought about this as well? And they're helping with this. It's not just trying to oversell me. It's trying to make sure I have a good experience there and I get everything I need.
No, and it takes me back to the first thing that we talked about, which was you have to be genuinely interested in the person you're working with. I can't anticipate your needs if I'm not listening to you, if I'm not paying attention to you. And it goes beyond just knowing that if you're buying a lag bolt, you're also going to need XYZ, right? It's more knowing that, you know, that I can sense how you're feeling. I can sense what you're looking for. I can sense your frustrations, and I know what's coming for you, what your needs are going to be before you know it.
There
right?
You go.
And I'm there to offer a solution before it even happens.
There you go. So. Perfect. So Joe, I was telling you, my wife and I went to a restaurant today. Didn't have a great experience. We did not. So I'm not going to mention the name of the place. Okay. But it started with, as soon as we walked in, the people at the podium who were going to seat us kind of were ignoring us completely. We had to stand there a long time. Finally get seated. We waited a while. I made eye contact with somebody who walked over and said, I saw you guys here. I brought you water. I'm not your waiter. Your waiter will be right over. We waited. The waiter came over. We ordered calamari. All right. And it was like, hey, this is what we want. And they're like, oh, you should try the calamari. Right. I'm like, all right, I haven't had it in a while. Let's get it. Ordered the calamari. It came out in like 30 seconds. Oh, wow. Like, it was kind of like, did somebody cancel this? And that's why you just offered us this. Right. So we get that. And I was like, it was good. It was fine. But we're eating. And by the time we were done eating it, then the waiter finally came over with our plates, our individual plates. So my wife and I were eating off the main plate because we're like, I guess we don't get our own individual plates. I ordered a burger, but I was more than halfway done. He never came over to offer me ketchup or anything, nothing. He was just right on the spot when it was time to give me my bill. But throughout the entire thing, anticipated nothing from me. Okay. It made me feel like, wow, they really pushed that calamari because it was sitting under a heat lamp and they didn't care. Once I ordered, I don't really care, just as long as they pay and get them out of here.
Well, and not the cheapest restaurant.
No, it is not. It's not a cheap restaurant, and they don't have a lot to offer. And so I want to get into this anticipating the needs. And that's why I was bringing that up, is how do you get into anticipating needs? And like you're saying, you have to continue to ask a lot of questions without being pushy. And you have to be able to listen to people.
I think you have to pay attention.
Yes.
You just have to pay attention. You know, and how many times do you go into these places? I can tell you one other thing that's becoming the norm now, which is really strange to me, is we'll get into our meal and all of a sudden go, we don't have any water.
Yeah.
How did that become a thing where you only bring it out when you ask for it?
Right.
Or not refilling it when it's empty. Like it's the little things that I think you just have to pay attention. If my drink, and I don't drink alcohol, but if my drink or you know, we have a glass of wine, right? And the wine is a, you know, quarter or half or whatever the markers, you got to see that. And you got to know, hey, I'm bringing another cocktail over. I'm bringing another drink over, bringing another glass of wine, or I'm going to refill that water. And there are some places that do that really, really well.
Yep.
And I know we're beating up the restaurant industry here, but they are. My brother's a Coke drinker and will literally leave a restaurant if they have Pepsi products. But there are certain restaurants that know this, and he is like an endless Coke drinker. So he doesn't want one. He's going to want them the entire night.
Right.
And when he gets down, you know, to a half a Coke, they've got another one on the table. Some places do it really, really, really well. And some could care less. And you're like, hey, can I have a glass of water? Like, fine, I'll bring you some water. Like, I'll go to the bathroom and drink it out of the sink. I'm sorry, I don't want to bother you, right? But yeah, you're right. And those are the easy things. Those are the things that we should get right every single time. They should take no thought. They should just be a part of the DNA, right?
Right.
And now, as we're sitting here having this conversation, like, wow, those are the things we're looking for a wow experience.
Exactly. What should just be the norm.
Right.
Correct.
Right. They absolutely should. But you can take that a step further. And I wholeheartedly believe that the experience when it comes to restaurants is way more important than the food.
Yes. Yes.
I think if you take a journey in your restaurant, I told you about this place in New Orleans,
which I love this. Yeah.
That I literally walked out of this restaurant. My wife and I were there, and we walked out and we hit the street, and you're like, I forgot where I was for the last 3 hours. Like, they literally took us on this journey and this experience, and I forgot where I was in as far as the city. We walked out and we're like, oh, there's parades going on and all kinds of other stuff going on. Like, all that stuff was gone because I was in their restaurant living this experience. So there are things you can do to elevate that, but it's wild that we're talking about the normal things.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And those aren't even the wow factors.
No. And I think that is a testament to this idea that these businesses have gotten sloppy and lazy. And so suddenly just to do the, especially a service organization like a restaurant, you forget that you're supposed to be serving the customer.
Yeah.
Okay. And it seems like, oh, these people are so needy. Okay. And so that's the attitude I get. Like, am I putting you out?
Yeah.
All right. So we don't want to do that. We want to be able to anticipate those needs. So a place like Amazon or a lot of online ordering, they do good as far as anticipating needs, because with Amazon, you order something and they throw it on the bottom saying, people who buy this also look at this, this, and this, right? So they anticipate this as a possibility. I get emails from Amazon on a regular basis. Based on your buying, we found some things you might like. Okay. And I like that, because is it being pushy? Somebody might view it as pushy. I view it as a convenience, because suddenly, rather than me being stuck and buying and doing the same thing over and over and over again, they're giving me the ability to try things maybe I've never tried before.
Right.
So I like that type of experience of me, and I want them to continue to suggest things. If I don't want to see them, I can just delete the email. I don't have to see that. I don't have to look at the bottom of the line. It's not in my way. I can always just finish my purchase. But I like the idea of saying this really accentuates or enhances your purchase if you also buy this.
So think about this for a minute. If we take that model of anticipating the needs, and we take Amazon's model, and say, hey, by the way, Marty, you're looking at these lag bolts.
Right.
People also bought this, and this.
Right.
And we implement that into Home Depot, it would avoid us from having to drive back and forth to the hardware store.
How about it?
18 times during a single project.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, if we just said, hey, by the way, Marty, I see you bought these lag bolts. Did you also buy?
Yeah. What do you, how about if they ask you, so what are you installing? What are you doing? Right. Let me walk you through the process. Did you do this? Do you have this tool?
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
And Amazon, and we're going to talk about Amazon, I think, a lot during the series.
Yes, I believe so.
They do. You wouldn't think of them as being somebody that nails the client experience, but they do a lot of things really well. And they balance the convenience factor with the experience factor really, really well. So carry on.
All right. So we're going to get into this, because I'm like going, wow, we're going to run out of time. I knew this was going to happen. It's so funny. Every once in a while, Joe, when we pick a topic like this, I go, oh, 6 episodes. Are we going to be able to talk for 6 episodes?
Yes.
We can't even make it through the first hour, right? So the C here is crafting a personalized moment. And I think this really is a great way to define that wow moment. It makes the person feel like they're a human being, not just a customer. I'm not a number. I want to walk into a place. I want them to greet me by name. I want something sent to me on my birthday, some type of a reminder, a connection that says that they care a little bit about me. It's not all about them. It's about me. And I think the tough part is I have some clients who go, should I start that birthday thing, sending a birthday card all the time? And I go, here's the thing that is worse than not sending a birthday card. And that is starting it and then stopping. Okay. Because you do it once, you do it twice, and then your birthday comes, you're like, I didn't get that birthday card anymore. Like, they don't care about me anymore. I haven't done anything. That might be your only connection with them, but do something. If you don't feel you're going to follow through with that, don't even start it. Do an email, something. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday on LinkedIn or something like that. Yeah. I worked at a company where we chose Thanksgiving as the day to send a basket. Right. And we would send to all of our top clients, all the players, and there was a manufacturing company. We'd send it to the president, the vice president, the purchasing people, all these cool baskets. The next year came, you're like, that was kind of expensive. So we made a smaller basket. The next year it got smaller. Before you know it, it was a box of chocolates and a business card. And then all of a sudden it's like, let's not do this anymore. How do you think the customer feels where they're like, did they stop doing it to everyone or just me? That's what they start questioning. And so if you're going to start something like that, you've got to follow through with it. So unfortunately for businesses, they're like, well, I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. Project it and say, this is part of what we do. If we're saying we're going to start this, we have got to continue. This is in our values. It's our core values that this is one of the things we're going to do.
But you can take that into any business. Really.
Completely.
And I think about, again, everything's going back to, you have to pay attention, right?
Yep.
If I hear in my conversation with the customer that they collect Coke things, right? Coke products. And maybe I'm just out randomly at some flea market somewhere.
Yeah.
And look at this. This is cool. And it's something weird. You buy that for that client, send it to that client. Can you imagine the response that they said something they didn't think you heard? And you deliver this to them. Hey, I was thinking about you.
Yeah.
You know, I found this for you. But you can do that on a smaller scale. It doesn't have to be that.
And it doesn't have to be regular then. Right. You can make it sporadic so you don't have to follow through with it. Right. You don't have to do it every year on their anniversary or something.
But you talk about doing something to personalize it towards them. Then if you're going to do that, you just got to pay attention. You have to pay attention.
Yeah. And because then without paying attention, it no longer becomes genuine. Right. Okay. I love this whole idea is my theme is pigs. All right. It's what's your bacon, right? And it's amazing how many people go, I found this stuffed animal of a pig, and they give it to you. Here's a little rubber pig. Here's the stuff. And it's funny. They're going, hey, or they send me a meme.
Bacon videos or memes can get sent.
And it's so funny. You know, the best was I get them. And then it used to be that what I'd say was I'd go back on, oh yeah, this is funny. Somebody sent it to me. And then I thought about that. That's kind of rough.
Yeah.
You know, because you send it, you took your time to do it. And what did I do? I just popped your bubble. So everyone who sends me stuff, I don't care if I get it 10 times in a row. I'm going to go, my God, that's funny. Thank you so much. That's it. The best, though, is what has happened. I've gotten memes sent to me. Marty, saw this, thought of you. And I was like, it's from me. It says Master Happiness down at the bottom. Right. And I'm like going, good. I'm glad someone's seeing my stuff. Right?
This is why I quit sending you those.
Yeah. Thank you. I know you're the only one who keeps resend. Well, I thought it was like return to sender. I thought that's why I was getting all of them back.
What's O?
What was that?
What's O?
So you think we did good with the craft of personalized moments. So O is operational excellence. And I think we talked about this a little bit that, you know, I'm going to mention the soup guy on Seinfeld. Right. And this was somebody who made perfect soup, right? These delicious soups there, right? But had a terrible customer experience. I mean, he was yelling at customers. People had to wait in line. People were afraid in line. But his processes of making the soup and his product were so good that he could bypass that. Now, that doesn't hold true with everything. If you're going to give your customers such a poor experience, your product has to be so elevated. And that is so risky because all you need to do is miss the step on your product one time. And then everything, all their dreams, all their nightmares come true. Yep, I knew it. I knew the guy couldn't do this. Right. And so it's really tough unless that's your brand. Remember, there was a place, Ed DeBevick's, where you would go to, and they were always mean and rude to you because that was their gig. So if you did it purposely, that's your brand. That's different. But I think your best bet is to do your absolute best at everything. The way your store looks, the cleanliness of your store, the product offering you're doing, the integrity of your staff, the helpfulness of your staff, all of that, and maybe find one or two things that you really knock out of the park that you're known for. But everything else, you don't drop the ball on anything. And I know that's tough, but if you can't do it, then don't be in business.
When immediately I think of some of these fast food chains that are franchises, their processes are so dialed in, and maybe the food's not great for you, right? You know, and you know it's not good for you, but they have the consistency because they do have a process. They do things a certain way, and they manage their franchises that way and say, this is how we do it. Don't vary from it. Don't come up with your own creation, your own sandwich, your own burger, or whatever. This is the way we make it. Don't vary it.
Right.
So as a client, you know it's not going to be good for you to go there, but it's consistent. You know what you're getting. You're going to go there anyways, and you're going to get the product. And realistically, some of them have even gone to kiosks now, so they don't even have people anymore, right? They have one person coming out and handing you a bag and giving you a drink. So the relationship factor is gone. They can screw that up because you don't talk to anybody. And at that point, the only thing they've got left is to mess up the product that you think you know what it's going to taste like and what it's going to be like.
Oh,
All of a sudden your burger with no mustard comes with mustard on it. You're like, I'm done. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
But you won't find that though, because their processes are so dialed in that they can get away with it.
Most of those places, because I will tell you, there are plenty of places that I will say there's some places I won't mention Chick-fil-A's name, or no, Chick-fil-A is the winner. Is the winner because they go out of their way. There's another one that sounds like Chipotle that I won't mention their name. All right, that they started out really good, and then it just seems like they're really sloppy. They're dirty. The people behind the counter don't care. There's a lot of places where it started with great intentions, and there was a lot of that happiness and energy. And then over time, that training on that part of the process falls down.
Yeah.
Right.
And their CEO, by the way, is supposed to be focusing on that and bringing them back. He's
good.
I don't know if he came from Starbucks or where he came from, but that's a hard focus. But my favorite is when you talk about these fast food places, you go and order like an iced coffee and they're like, we don't have iced coffee. Okay. Do you have coffee? We do. Do you have ice?
Yeah,
we do. Can you just put the two together?
And you're like,
well, that's not really nice coffee. I don't know what you call it, but I'll let some coffee and some ice. That'd be fine with me.
There you go. Right.
But
and there's
the immediate like, no, we don't have iced coffee. We can't do that.
Well, because they don't train anyone to think outside the box.
Right.
And that's what it is. But Chick-fil-A does do that. Chick-fil-A will say you have the ability to make these quick decisions because it's all about the customer experience.
Empowerment. I think that comes later in our
series.
Yes.
All right. So with this, I want to end it with this: nurture or nourish the emotional connection. Okay. And I think this is really important, is to understand, to really truly understand what the customer is going through with you. And it could be, I don't care if you're a plumber. Okay. What's the emotional experience me as the customer is going through? All right. When I call a plumber, I'm sitting here going, I'm at your mercy. You are in my home where I keep all my stuff, where my children are. Right. And I go, I just need you to fix this so that we can cook dinner, so that we can take showers, all this kind of stuff. And so if that person treats us anything less than human beings, I'm never going to recommend them.
Okay? You talk about emotion there. Think about this for a minute. So it's all emotion.
Yeah.
The when you look at the experience, maybe that's the definition we're looking for here, is the emotion. Are we tying into the emotion that the client has at the time that we're working with them? But you look at a plumber, and could you imagine calling a plumber and your sink is leaking, you got water everywhere, the floor is damaged. He's like, and he walks in, he's like, oh my gosh, God, we got to fix this right away. And he was frantic about it.
Yes.
How would you feel? What would your emotion be like? You would be even more on edge. Oh my God, I'm going to lose the house. We're going to have to burn it down. It's like, whatever. Or a plumber walked in and he's like, no problem. We do this. Just relax. We got it. And he's just calm and understands it. And we deal with this in our business, and I was talking to a guy who is a contractor, regarding claims and fires and things like that. And there's been, way too many fires this year with homes than we would ever want to see. But could you imagine calling your agent and having them in a panic while you're already in a panic because your home just burned down? Or would you rather them like touching your emotion, going, you know what, hey, we got this. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you how it's going to work. Let me share the process with you and put you at ease.
I want to add one thing to that, and that is I want them to empathize with me first.
Yes.
I know this is awful. This looks really worse. It's not as bad as you seem. I know this is terrible. I can only imagine what's going on through your head.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix this. I can turn this water off right now. It stopped.
Yep.
Now let's start working on the repair. I want them to add that piece in, because I don't want them to say this is my home and I feel I'm losing everything. I don't want you to be flippant about it and go, it's not that big of a deal. I need them to be empathetic.
Agreed.
They need to be empathetic, but I do agree with you. I need them to be empathetic and say, I'm going to take care of it. We're going to fix it. It's going to be okay.
Yes.
Relax.
Yeah.
That's what, and I think that's where you're going, but I want to make sure our listeners heard this. So, Joe, we're like wrapping up the end here, and I just want to go through to make sure people know that this is part 1 of the 6-part series on this. And if you enjoyed this, because I definitely enjoyed this, we needed another half an hour just to get through this, actually, the intro. Yeah. But the next, every 4th Monday of the month for the next 5 months after this, we're going to be touching on that customer experience. So tune in for all of this. And if you miss any part of the episode, definitely go to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. All right. So, Joe, what's your big takeaway for today?
I'm just looking forward to this. I know we're just scratching the surface, but I'm truly looking. This is something that I can't tell you how excited I was to get this on the schedule, because it's a passion of mine.
Yep.
I think I'm told you I'm extremely hypersensitive to the experience, and it's something that I truly have a passion for. So to be able to get into this the next 5 weeks next five series, whatever,
right,
and really deep dive some of this stuff. And we've got notes and notes and notes of stuff to share. I think it's just going to be an exciting journey. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this whole thing. I really hope that what ends up happening, somebody listening to this, whether you own a business, work at a business, or maybe you go to a place that you're like, wow, they're really suffering from this customer service. You can share this information with them, because I'm really hoping we can change somebody. We can help somebody else grow.
Can we just create one aha moment? If
there
we
you
just
go.
create one aha moment, I think it's a win.
You got it, brother. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness anywhere you listen to podcasts. Bye-bye for now.